What's up everybody, Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles. Today I'm going to do a video for you on what to do when you're expecting a baby. So, not literally on when you're expecting an actual baby, but when you're expecting a baby snake, this is kind of the procedures that I recommend all of my customers and anybody who really asks me for advice follow. There's a lot of misconceptions on what you need to do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So I wanted to just kind of give my personal experience and what I recommend you guys do when you receive a baby snake in the mail. This can apply for adult snakes, but really specifically for baby snakes because they're a little bit more delicate and sensitive than an older animal. So let's kind of dive into what I recommend. So I have this box here. There is a snake in here. There is a bag in here with the snake in it. It's packed exactly how you would receive it from me. You would actually receive a box just like this. I mean, this is the box that you're going to get in the mail if you got a snake from me, at least a smaller snake, something that's kind of like a 2 foot, 3 foot under. So in this box, this is what you're going to receive. We've went through the whole purchasing process, whether you purchase from my website or you contacted me. It's sold, it's in the mail, you get something like this. It's going to look just like this, except it's going to have a shipping label on the top and then the FedEx note so that they can get it through as a live animal shipment. Going to just be able to slice this open. I didn't want to put the label on it because I don't actually have a label with somebody's address right at this moment. So you'd slice this open, slice open the sides. This will all be taped up, kind of like how the bottom is, but a little bit more tape on the top. I'll tape over the label, open it up, and this is what you're going to see on the inside. Now I have done a video on how to ship snakes in the past, so if you've seen that, this is almost the reverse of that video. So again, you have your box in here. You're going to have a little piece of styrofoam on top. We're just going to pull this out, just like that, get rid of it, and we will get into the snake piece here. You're going to have some newspaper or some type of a packing paper. In this instance, it's newspaper. It's really whatever I have on. It's just so the snake's securely inside. So you can see the snake in there. If we're shipping in winter months, you'll have on the top piece of the lid, you're going to have a heat pack attached to this. I always like to ask my customers, how did the snake do? Was the snake warm? Was the heat pack warm? I want to get some feedback from you guys. So if you can pay attention to that, the more feedback I can get from you, the safer I can ship snakes. Specifically, this is going to a colder area. I ship snakes all year round, so it's important for me to understand what the temperatures are like inside these boxes. I've actually done little experiments where I've put heat packs in there and I've put them out in literally in the middle of a blizzard with a temperature probe inside because I want to see if there were a snake in here, what temperature are they experiencing. So to me, it's really important you guys get healthy snakes upon arrival. It's actually more difficult for me to ship in heat than it is in colder temperatures. I can control the cold. I can't control what a driver does with this snake on a FedEx truck if it sits in the sun or if the truck is getting hot. So I actually prefer to ship in like fall, spring, as opposed to middle of summer or middle of winter. But so let's get back into it. So you have the snake here. It's going to come in a bag just like this. This is just another piece of newspaper on the back, and then it's all insulated. There will be some air holes in the box, but again, I usually do that after I tape it up. I'll put the holes in. So you have your snake. This is the most important part that this video really is all about, is I want you guys to pay attention to just this initial unpacking. Everybody's excited. Everybody wants to take this snake out and hold it for hours, and then it's so crucial, especially in a baby snake. And I'm going to get into the reasons why it's so crucial as well. But what I want you to do is, this is how I tie all my bags, assuming it's this style. Untie it. I usually make it so you can untie it very quickly, just like that. It's not easy to untie, from the snake. The snake's not going to get out, but you can untie it quickly. You shouldn't need a scissors or anything like that. Open up the bag. Take a look inside. What's the snake look like? Does it look good? At this point, a lot of the times the snakes are just semi-stressed, but at this, so you want to minimize it, but you still need to check out the snake. So I encourage people, like I mentioned, take a temperature gun if you have it, zap the snakes, make sure that the snake is fairly warm. It's not uncommon. These guys will be fine in the short duration of shipping. And then you have your snake. So again, it's more from my own feedback. The snake is probably going to be a little cooler to the touch than what you would normally want, but you have your snake, you pull it out. I want everybody to take a couple minutes and take a look at this snake. Depending on whether they might be fairly stressed out, so they might be hissy and huffy and puffy. If they are, I still want you to just take a look, inspect the snake, make sure everything looks good, because this is the point where if something did go wrong for any reason, this is where I need you to contact me and say, hey Jason, snake looked great, but I'm worried about this, I'm concerned about that. This is where I need to know, because this is that moment where it transitions from me to you. Through shipping, I handed it to you. I know this snake was good and perfect when it left. Now when it arrives, I need to make sure it's good and perfect when it arrives. And this is the point where we can fix any issues if there are any. I've been fortunate enough to really never have issues with shipping. So I'm confident when I ship these animals, they're healthy to you, but things happen. And again, I've been lucky enough that they haven't happened, but this is the point where we can communicate. So take a look at the snake, gently handle it, and just kind of inspect it for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. This is your chance to handle it. Once you've done that, you're going to kind of look at it, admire it, take a couple pictures if you want. I need you to put it in the enclosure. So put it in the enclosure, and a lot of the times, again, this is a 2019 animal. He's an older animal, a little bit more established. I know that honestly, after you ship this guy, if you put it in a bin or if you put it in its enclosure and offered food, it would probably eat it right away. The biggest complaint I get from people who have just received some baby snakes is that the snake won't eat. So there's good reasons for this, and they're easy reasons to fix, but this is why it's so important to do what I'm asking you guys to do. Is when I ship you a snake, I know that it's eating, it's perfect, it's healthy. I know there's no problems with it. If this snake were to stay at my house, in my building, in my enclosure, this snake would thrive forever. But once you change the environment, there's little factors that can throw these snakes off. So this snake comes, let's say you have it there. I want you to put it in the enclosure. Make sure the enclosure is all set up before you're there, has nice water bowl, has its heat spot, and leave it alone. Make sure the requirements are on point before you get the snake. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, we can work through it, but one of the complaints I get is the snake won't eat for me. So there's a handful of things for this, reasoning why this could happen. This is why, again, I really wanted you guys to pay attention to this video on how to unpack a snake. Okay, the snake's there. Now I need to figure out what's different from what I was doing than what you're doing. So the enclosure is important. Usually where I start is, how's your temperatures, humidity, what's your enclosure look like? Can you send me a photo? And I'm assuming you're not handling. The biggest problem I see when people tell me that they got a snake and it won't eat, and I know these snakes eat for me. There's no reason for a small change in environment to throw them off, is they're handling them. Even though they're not telling me they're handling them, I know they're handling them because I'll see pictures of them in their hands. So there's no way that you're not handling it. But that is such a crucial point, is I need you guys to be honest. I'm not going to bash you for doing what you're doing. We're trying to work through getting these snakes established. And once you're in the clear, once you have a good experience, you're perfect. Handle it all you want. But this first couple weeks are so important for getting in a snake. And depending on the snake itself, again, this 2019 animal, you got the snake in, you'd totally be able to handle this thing probably every day as soon as you got it. If you want a baby, a younger animal, which a lot of people want, even if it has 6, 7, 10 meals in it, it's still a small animal, and when you change the environment so drastically, it can throw them off feeding. Then you add in that you're excited and you want to hold this snake a couple times a week, even if it's I just took it out because I needed to change the water bowl and I just held it for a minute. When I say no handling, it is no handling. Pretend that snake isn't there. You can't even pick it up. You can't hold it. Pretend you're just changing a water bowl in an empty cage. That's what I mean by no handling. And this is kind of this list of things that I'll go through. So I digressed a little bit, but I really wanted to emphasize that. So you got this new snake in the mail, put it in the enclosure, check it out for a couple minutes, put it in the enclosure, walk away for a week. The only thing you should be doing in that cage is looking at it, visually looking at it. If it's a rack, pulling open the tub, making sure it's clean, closing it. Visually looking at it, opening up, take the water bowl out, replace the water, put new water in, leave it alone for the whole first week. Unless I tell you otherwise, but for the whole first week, that is it. That's all you should be doing. You shouldn't be checking to make sure the snake is okay, checking to make sure this and that. You should literally that snake doesn't even exist. You can't even see it. A week from there, whether I tell you it's on live or frozen, most of my stuff is on frozen. This guy's on frozen. Almost everything I have is on frozen. But sometimes with little baby snakes, it can take them a minute to realize what food is, especially if your temperature is a little different, if you get your food source from something different. So the snake is in there. There should be no reason within the first meal, first time you try, it eats. If it doesn't, let me know. Something's off. Something in your enclosure is different than mine. Something needs to be tweaked just a little bit. It's amazing how such a tiny tweak in an enclosure can make a dramatic difference on a snake that's younger and is just starting. So I encourage people to send me photos. Usually when I ask for photos and it goes 3, 4, 5 weeks and people are still saying, hey, I'm struggling with this, they won't give me photos. It's usually because something else is off and they don't want to admit it. And I've seen it in photos, and instantly, as soon as I get the photo, I'm saying, that's what's wrong. Add this, add some crumpled newspaper, and then a week later, they're saying, oh, wow, that worked. It was great. Thank you so much for the help. But we could have avoided that whole 2, 3, 4 months, or I'm sorry, 2, 3, 4 weeks of stress if they just sent me that photo day one. I'm here to help. I'm not here to bash you guys. I know that we're all in this, and it's your setup might not be wrong. It's just different than what it was used to. Once it's established, so now you've had your snake, now it's eating. Once it's established for 2, 3 weeks or so, do whatever you want. I always say you need to get 2 consistent meals in it. That means I show it the food, it eats. I show it the food, it eats. Then you're usually in the clear. If you show it the food and it doesn't really want it, then you go back another week and then it tries it the next week. Then the next week after that, it doesn't really want it. Those are not consistent meals. I mean, no hesitation to a point. You know, there's always some kind of jiggling around. But every time you try, I need it to eat twice in a row before you go into the socialization of the snake. These snakes are going to live a very long time. If you don't get them established, they will not live a very long time. So I always encourage people to realize the bigger picture of you need to get these snakes established, eating, in their enclosure, comfortable, and then you're going to be good to go to socialize this thing. You can have an amazing pet for a very long time. So that's where I encourage people to listen to this video, understand the reasoning for this. We're also going to do another video. I'm going to probably try to get it done so it can do a follow-up to this one, is assist feeding. I don't ever want you to assist feed snakes that you get from me until I tell you, yes, this is maybe assist feed time. There has seemed to be this increased, I need to get food in it, panic of if your snake doesn't eat in a week or in 2 weeks, you need to feed it. First thing, let's talk through this. Don't just assist feed a snake. You need to, assist feeding a snake is almost a guaranteed that you are going to kill that thing because you're not addressing why it's not eating. So I want to go into the reasons for assist feeding, when to assist feed, and kind of how to assist feed, as opposed to the snake's not eating, I need to assist feed it. Assist feeding is a very specific thing that you should do at a very specific time, and only for certain select snakes. So I'm going to do a whole different video on that. I don't want to get into it, but bottom line that I want to do a takeaway from this is when you get the snake, how to introduce it to the enclosure, how to get it on track, and then definitely, again, don't assist feed. If you got a snake from me, I know it's eating. So it's just a little tweak in the enclosure, whether it be heat, whether it be hiding, bedding, whatever it could be, a little tweak in what you're doing that's different than mine, and it'll get it right back on track. So with that said, guys, I hope this video helped. I hope there's other breeders out there that will also agree that this is an approach they would want them to take. I don't think this is unique to me. I think this is kind of a broad spectrum of anybody who's shipping snakes kind of wants their customers to follow this similar approach. If you don't follow this and you have issues, we have to start it over and we have to follow it anyway. So it's much easier. Just do this approach. Trust the process. Trust that I'm giving you guys good information on snakes that I'm selling you. And yeah, we'll go from there. So if you're interested in this snake or any others, check out my website, www.jasonsexoticreptiles.com. Shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook. You can also purchase right from there. If you have any questions about your snakes, if you got it from other people, I encourage you to go back to them for advice. The same way if you got a snake from me, I please encourage you to come back to me for advice and not somebody else. They have the history on their snakes. I have the history on mine. We're all in this to help each other, support the hobby, continue to enjoy these animals. And until next time, guys, let's keep it moving. Thank you.